Up next on U.S. Bank Business Watch, presented by the Business Courier. Need advice to get ahead at work? We've got it. Can a building contribute to and support an organization's mission? People's Liberty says yes. And baseball begins tomorrow. Is Great American Ballpark ready? We are. U.S. Bank Business Watch is next. Good morning, happy Easter, and happy Passover. Welcome to U.S. Bank Business Watch. I'm Peg Rasconi. On the Business Courier front page centerpiece this week, we may have come a long way, baby, but recent high-profile gender discrimination cases indicate it takes more than hard work and experience to get to the top. Gender equity in the business world doesn't always come easy or naturally. So the Business Courier asked local women who have achieved success in the workplace, what's the one skill that made all the difference? Last week, the Courier gathered 200 women for Mentoring Monday, an event that engages Cincinnati women in a conversation about career development. It involved about 40 seasoned businesswomen giving advice to women who are working their way through the ranks.
Well, there was someone who's starting a new business, and one of the things I said was, the importance of connecting through trade organizations, especially affinity groups where women are, and the ability to get out there and show what you are able to do. So, connect with women's groups and take 20 minutes out of their meeting and show them what you're able to do.
For the Business Courier centerpiece, we asked 10 of the event mentors, including Councilmember Simpson, to name the skill they believe best helps women succeed in business. Each woman had a unique story, but there were some common themes that jumped out as Business Courier managing editor Lisa Benson put their stories together. And Lisa joins Business Watch producer Kelly Leon in the studio to talk about what these 10 powerful local women had to say. Ladies.
Thanks, Peg. Lisa, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So the themes that jumped out to me were really, the women talked about developing relationships and building their self-confidence. What about you? What jumped out to you?
I think you're right. Of the 10 women that we talked to, those were two themes that really seemed to echo from everyone. Especially I was struck by Laura Brunner's comments from the Port of Greater Cincinnati Development Authority. She talked about self-confidence as being a really crucial skill for women to learn to further their careers. And it was interesting the way that she learned it. She mentioned that she developed her self-confidence working in the nonprofit sector. She joined a board, and that can be sort of a safer place for women to exercise those skills to build their self-confidence, where people are united around a cause, not so much a business proposition. So I thought that was a really interesting take that she had.
Oh yeah, that is. And I've heard other women say that about joining a board. That is really, that's good advice. So there were about 200 women who attended and about 40 who were giving advice, 10 of which you feature in the print edition. What do you think the mentors came away with?
It's funny, I've been exploring this issue of mentoring for women and how it helps women excel in business. And the things I keep hearing from women is having a mentoring relationship, it's really a give and a take. These women who were involved in our program, it was only a 7-minute session they had. It was a very compressed amount of time to engage in mentoring. But even in that short amount of time, everyone really said that as they were giving advice, they were getting advice back. So it's really a give and take, and I think that's something that anyone engaged in a mentoring experience has that, that give and take back. So.
Yeah, we were seeing it looked like speed dating on the video.
Yeah, it really was. It was kind of intense.
Last question. Why is it important to do these types of things? The Business Courier is such a promoter of women in business. Why do you do events like this?
Well, especially with this mentoring event, things that I've heard from women who have succeeded. One high-profile local CEO told me, nobody is successful on their own. You don't get to the top with only having internal feedback. So events like this where women can engage with other women and get that criticism and honest feedback, it's really important in career development.
Yeah, in a really safe and nurturing
Exactly,
type of way.
and a great energy. You know, I think women really connect with other women in a different way, and so there's a real energy involved in these women events.
Well, and to that point, I want to say we do not do this show without the help of Lisa Benson, who's rarely on this show. So we are so happy you're here with us today.
Thank you.
Come back and see us again.
I will. Thank you very much.
Peg, back to you.
All right, thanks Kelly and Lisa, whose fingerprints are on every show, as Kelly said. Well, Mike Simon's rise to the top involved staying the course, at least professionally. Personally, the president and CIO of Alpha Mark Advisors calls himself an adrenaline junkie who loves taking risks, but he says emotions are the biggest downfall for the everyday investor. His leadership advice: trust and don't micromanage.
We treat everybody as if they're the owners of the firm, and guess what? They act like they're owners of the firm. So that works out great.
Simon manages Alpha Mark's two mutual funds, which ranked number 7 and number 23 on this week's list of top-performing local mutual funds. Cincinnati-based Christ Hospital has formed an affiliation with the University of Kentucky's Markey Cancer Center. The Markey Center is involved in more than 175 clinical research studies each year. The partnership will enable Christ Hospital's Fort Wright Outpatient Center to have the opportunity to see UK specialists on case-by-case basis. They may also be able to access Markey Cancer Center bone marrow transplants. A Duke Energy estimate of the cost to move utilities along the next phase of the streetcar route was not kept a secret. That's according to Councilwoman Amy Murray, who leads oversight of the project as Council's transportation chairwoman. Murray campaigned against the streetcar in the 2013 council election. The Duke cost estimate projected it will cost $33.7 million to move underground electric equipment, $2.9 million to move gas mains, and $1.2 million to replace or relocate 66 overhead electric poles along the route.
I always like to be the optimist, but when it's taxpayer dollars, I like to be a realist. And, you know, I feel like it came in at 38, and that was a year or two ago. So what worries me when I'm playing with taxpayer dollars or working with that is thinking, is it going to go up to 45 or 50 million? And, you know, I'd rather make sure that we're covered and we have a really good idea.
Mayor John Cranley and Councilman Christopher Smitherman allege the estimate was intentionally kept from the public. Cranley and Smitherman say the estimate shows expanding the project will be too expensive. Whether the city or Duke should pay the $15 million cost of moving utilities for the first phase of the project is the subject of a lawsuit. Well, the UC Economic Center is projecting the city of Cincinnati will face budget deficits into 2020. The study of Cincinnati's economy indicates the city has struggled with deficits and a structurally unbalanced budget since 2001. UC's data shows health care and employment costs will exceed increases in city revenues. The director of the UC Economic Center will join us later in the program to talk about the issue of financial literacy. A new office space in Over the Rhine is helping an organization fulfill its mission. People's Liberty is an extension of both the Hale U.S. Bank Foundation and the Johnson Foundation. The group makes grants to individuals rather than nonprofit organizations to bolster the community. Its new headquarters is located in the former Globe Furniture Building at the corner of Elm and Elder Streets, where the uniqueness of the organization is noticeable right away. The lobby is actually an art gallery that will house installation projects for 3 months at a time, created by grant recipients.
When we came across the Globe building, which was clearly an anchor in the neighborhood, an icon in the neighborhood, but had been vacant for so long, we're like, this could be a really interesting way to first inject life into this building, give some daytime traffic to the market, some more evening traffic to the market, but also set the tone for what development could look like north of Liberty Street.
Abner says People's Liberty used vendors and contractors that are within blocks of the Globe building to complete its renovation in order to give back. Tomorrow is opening day in Cincinnati, and Great American Ballpark has been getting a makeover in anticipation for a big year ahead.
This is a hard hat tour for a reason, because we're not quite ready yet, but it will be by opening day, certainly.
And again, that's tomorrow. Cincinnati Reds fans will notice a lot of changes as soon as they walk into Great American Ballpark. The two most prominent involve new bar areas. The Handlebar, presented by Horseshoe Casino, is in the old Riverfront Club down the right field line, and the other is a new bar, the Bootlegger, on the first base side of the main concourse level. Perhaps the most interesting new feature is a room for nursing mothers that offers both comfort and privacy.
I did some research with some other moms put it out on social media, got input. I'm a mom myself. Found out the needs of the home of a mom, what they're looking for: a comfortable space, a place to store their belongings while they're at the game.
Pampers and Fisher Homes put the facility together. All of the improvements, about $5 million worth, are paid for by the Reds or corporate sponsors, so no tax dollars. Go Reds. And up next on U.S. Bank Business Watch, get a sneak peek inside downtown's newest hotel, located here in the old Enquirer building. And you can never have enough donut shops. At least that's what Holtman's is hoping. Some news now that's getting a lot of attention on the Business Courier website and social media. Everyone wants a look inside the new hotel in the old Cincinnati Enquirer building on Vine Street. The $30 million conversion of the building at 617 Vine Street from office space to 2 different hotels is just wrapping up, and the Business Courier got a sneak peek. Check out the Hampton Inn and Suites and Homewood Suites by Hilton, Cincinnati, on the website. And you can do the same for Miami University's Indoor Sports Center. It will be officially unveiled to the public at the end of the month, but the Courier got an early look inside. Funded by $13 million in donations, it will be used by student athletes, intramural and club sports teams, as well as youth athletic programs. Former Miami quarterback Ben Roethlisberger provided $1 million for the project. Masters Pharmaceutical has revealed plans to move its corporate headquarters from Forest Park to Mason. The fast-growing firm plans to build a 300,000 square foot office, warehouse, and distribution center on 47 acres. Total investment for the land, building, and equipment is expected to be about $16 million. Holtman's Donuts is trying to find a space to open its 4th location, ideally by next year. The owners have put in a proposal to open a Holtman's at the former Root Beer Junction space in Madeira's train depot. But if that doesn't work out, they say they had their eye on other spots. Holtman's currently has stores in Over the Rhine, Loveland, and Williamsburg. In this morning's U.S. Bank Economic 360, we want to congratulate this year's class of Fast 55. U.S. Bank is a gold sponsor of the Courier's Fast 55 program. Each year for the last 11 years, the Business Courier has named the fastest growing private companies in our 17-county region. Finalists must be private, for-profit companies in business for at least 3 years, at least $1 million in average revenue over the last 3 years. This year's honorees were named this week, and Business Courier publisher Jamie Smith joins Business Watch producer Kelly Leon in the studio with more on the honorees and the program. Guys.
Thanks, Peg. You're not usually on that side there,
I know,
Jamie.
I'm on the wrong side of the interview here.
You're asking the questions now. I feel like I'm in a really powerful position right now. So, Fast 55, how difficult is it to win this award and narrow that down?
You know, it is. It's harder than you think, because growth in itself is an accomplishment and a hard thing. But this award is growth over 3 years. So it's not a sudden success. You've got to be successful over 3 years to even be considered a finalist in this event.
And you've been doing this, the Courier has been doing this for 11 years.
Yes.
Have you ever had years where it's like, we're not going to make the 55?
Well, you know, we started the program 11 years ago, and it was Fast 50. And about the 3rd year into the program, we had such a good group of successful businesses that we had, like, we got to the end and we had 5 companies that weren't going to be in that had tremendous growth. So we inched it up to Fast 55. Now in 2009, 2010, when the economy kind of hit, we lucky to say we still had 55. The growth numbers just weren't as large as you see most of the time.
So in terms of where we are now, what kind of growth are we talking about for these companies?
I'm not going to reveal this year's, but looking at last year's, we had anything from 18% growth over a 3-year time frame to 504% growth.
Wow.
And you know, you think about that, 504% for a smaller company is incredible. But then you look at a company such as Penn Station, who's $150 million in revenue. You think about an 8 or 18% growth. That's just massive.
Yeah, that is massive.
Yeah.
And I know there are different levels. Do you see? Sure, you see some repeat winners. And then are there some new faces that you're...
Oh, absolutely. Every year there's some new faces, but we've had I think as of last year, we had over 10 companies that have been there at least 6 years out of the 11. Paycor's been there 10 out of the 11, and Total Quality Logistics has been there 11 out of 11. So they've had growth over 3-year time spans for 11 years.
Great news for our local
economy.
Absolutely. And the event is coming up in June.
Yes.
So if people want to go, they can check out the website. It's, I think we have a full screen to put up June
18th.
18th coming up.
It'll be a luncheon, and you can go to the website and you'll be able to see all 55 finalists. And as you said, we will break it down that day to 5 winners based on size of revenue, amount of revenue.
All right, great. Well, Jamie, thank you for being here, and thanks to U.S. Bank for being a sponsor of this.
Absolutely. They've been behind this for a long time.
They couldn't be with us this morning, so we wanted to talk about their event. So
absolutely.
Thank you.
All right,
Peg,
thanks.
Jamie and I will send it back to you.
All right, thanks Kelly and Jamie. And still to come on U.S. Bank Business Watch, financial literacy. You know it's important, but when should we begin teaching it, and what is the best way to spread the word? We'll explore that next. And congratulations to Corinne DeLang, Director of Operations for Ronald McDonald House Charities of Greater Cincinnati, another 40 under 40 honoree. In this morning's Business Insight, April is Financial Literacy Month, and the message from the UC Economic Center is it's never too early. Several local businesses allow their employees to volunteer in the community to get the word out. Dr. Julie Heath, the director of the Economic Center, is with us this morning. She's joined by Jason Jackman, President and Chief Investment Officer for Johnson Investment Counsel. They're with Business Courier editor Rob Dahlmeyer in the studio to talk about financial literacy and the impact volunteerism and education make. Rob.
Thanks very much, guys. Thanks for being here. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I have kids. We throw them on the bus and forget about them for the whole day and come home and we don't talk about financial stuff with them. As a matter of fact, we kick them out of the room half the time. Is that common? I mean, is financial literacy a problem for young kids in schools right now?
It is a problem. A lot of times parents, even when they have the knowledge to transmit that to their kids, they don't want to, they don't feel comfortable about it. We know that parents are more comfortable talking to their kids about sex and drugs than about money. So it's really important to get that information out into the schools so all kids have equal access to that information.
Jason, why did Johnson decide to get involved? This is your first year, is that correct?
That's right, and while we have a long-standing tradition of being involved in the community, it's rare we get an opportunity to partner with an organization with such a like-minded mission. We provide investment and financial counsel to our clients, but the center provides that education and financial literacy to students.
So why is it important? Johnson's not the only company that is involved, obviously, and a very important one, and I'm sure you're super happy to have him on board.
Very.
But why is it important to get businesses involved in these kind of efforts?
Well, for several reasons. One is that when we have a more financially literate population, starting with kids, then that's really an economic development issue. I mean, of course, it's an education issue, but it's an economic development issue. Businesses benefit by having more well-informed consumers, employees. But the other thing it does is it provides a mentoring opportunity for students. When Johnson Investments comes into schools, for example, that's a wonderful opportunity to not only impart this information to kids, which is the first priority,
right,
but modeling and just having kids see that this is what successful people look like, this is what they do. That's a very important component.
So what have your results been so far? Again, we said it's the first year, but what have you seen so far?
Already in the schools, it's been really exciting to see the kids building in their confidence in basic economic and financial principles, really understanding the concept of saving, often a foreign concept to a lot of people. You really see them grasp onto that and really do that. And what's fun about this program is the students have the opportunity to spend each quarter, save, or donate. And what we see is the majority of the kids actually donate every quarter to the charity of their choice.
That's
which
fantastic.
Is neat.
You touched on this for a minute, but I'm really curious as to why specifically kids don't get more from parents? I just told you, I just confessed that I'm terrible about this. Why don't I do a better job, or why don't most parents do a better job of sitting their kids down and doing this?
A lot of parents don't know what to do. Even when parents are in complete command of their own finances, which in some cases is a big if, they don't know how to have a conversation with their kids about it. So do I talk to my kids about how much money we make? Well, they might repeat that at school, and that's kind of an awkward situation. So even when parents are fully informed, often they just don't know how to have that conversation with their kids.
Last question, and it's for you, Jason. All right, since you're in the business, well, you're not just in the business, you're running a company in the business. Do you do anything different with your kids at home, or are you guilty as charged?
I'm probably as guilty as everyone, but yes, teaching basic saving comments, budgeting, the idea of savings we try to instill in our kids, but it's hard, as Julie mentioned, and the school's partnering and incorporating into their curriculum is very helpful to this process.
Well, as a parent, thank you. Thank you, and we wish you both great success with this program.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Back to you.
All right, thanks, Rob. Those are great programs. Well, thank you for joining us this morning for U.S. Bank Business Watch. We'll be back next Sunday and every Sunday morning at 6:30 here on Local 12 and 10 a.m. on the CW. For more business news all week long, you can visit the Business Courier online and sign up for daily emails and follow on Twitter and Facebook. The address is CincinnatiBusinessCourier.com. I'm Peg Rasconi. Have a great Sunday.